Hello everyone, welcome to the self-knowledge course. Today we are going to continue with our self-knowledge lectures. You know that these lectures have the purpose of giving you the tools so that you can awaken your consciousness, all the information and the tools that you need to get to liberate all your consciousness is here in this course. Actually, we are having today the lecture number 11. In case you didn't see the previous lectures, they are here recorded in the video section of the page. So you can go there. Even we have a playlist for the phase A of the course. So you can go there and see the previous lectures to see all the topics that we have already touched in relation to the awakening of consciousness. Today we have lecture number 11 of the phase A. This course is divided into 50 lectures of phase A and 25 lectures of the phase B. And on some days we are given the phase B lectures that are aimed to who already saw the previous set of 50 phase A lectures that we already saw in this page. And we started a new cycle of phase A lectures, and we are going through the lecture number 11, how to fabricate soul and spirit. These phase A lectures are broadcast every Wednesday and Friday at the same time, and they are always recorded here in the page. So in case you don't have that time available or you miss some lecture, you can come here anytime and you can review all the lectures. And well, today's topic is actually very, very interesting. Today we are going to see what the soul is and what the spirit is, since they are concepts that are commonly confused with each other. And today we are going to see what are they form of, in what state they currently are, and what are the steps so we get to develop our own soul and our own spirit. And well, talking about the soul, we can say that the soul is a set of virtues, of powers, of faculties, of forces that are latent inside each one of us, inside of our presently contaminated essence. And if we really get to reflect about this fact, that the soul is this set of virtues, that we are going to see now what are the virtues, we are going to see now what are those powers, we are going to see what are those faculties and forces. And if we really observe ourselves, we are going to have to admit that we don't have them, that we don't have those virtues, we don't have those powers, we don't have those faculties, we don't have those forces. So that means that we are actually soulless. Yes, and that is the reason why we as humans are capable of some cruelties and damages against others and against nature and against ourselves, and it is because now we are currently soulless. But it is good to know that all those virtues, powers, faculties, and forces are latent within us. This means that we all have the ability to possess our soul, to be owners of those virtues, powers, faculties, forces. But for this, we must do an inner work. For this, we must rescue all the consciousness that is currently trapped within all our negative ways of being. So we must do that work that we have been teaching in this course of the psychological death, to consciously eliminate all our wrong ways of being, and that liberated essence and that liberated also energy, that we put that into, or that we bring this into the sexual practice, into the supra sex practice, So we start like merging that essence and that energy into our spinal cord. So with this work on ourselves, we become more conscious beings and we start developing this soul. But as we can see, to achieve this requires a voluntary effort on our part, since it is actually, yes, a long process that requires a lot of patience. And that is why Master Jesus used to say, in your patience, yeah, you shall win your souls. And that let us see that we actually or currently don't have, or we are not the owners of our soul. Because what is the soul? Well, we first say that the soul is a set of virtues. And what are the virtues? If we analyze what a virtue is, we can see that the virtue is the opposite of a psychological defect. That is, that every time that we work on ourselves, we work on one of our psychological defects. We get to observe them, we get to discover them into ourselves, and we get to, through a hard work of psychological depth, of reflective meditation, of self observation, discovering all the details of that way of being. And we get to get the wisdom out of it. We get to comprehend this psychological defect and we get to eliminate it completely. We rescue from there a virtue. So we have actually many psychological defects. They are actually like divided into 7 main defects that are also called the capital sins that we all have within ourselves. And they have inside us like so many details. For example, we have here the laziness. We all have laziness inside us. We have many details of laziness. We can, if we start this work of self-observation, and we start from the very moment that we wake up to self-observe, to observe what is moving inside us, what is moving in my emotion, what is moving in my mind, what is moving in my body, what is moving in my sex, actually what is going on inside of me, we are going to find that the laziness start like expressing itself in our body from the very moment we wake up. And we, like for example, postpone the alarm 5 more minutes. Why is that? Because of that psychological defect. But it is only a small detail, the one that postponed the alarm. That is a small detail of the laziness. But if you observe yourself all during the day, you are going to discover several details of the laziness. That is the defect that don't allow us to develop that precious virtue, that is the diligence, that is the spirit to do everything that you have to do. But there is something important to see, like in relation to the laziness, that as you can see here, all the defects have 2 poles, the positive and the negative one. And the real virtue is in the middle, because sometimes we have a lot of spirit, a lot of courage to do things, to do a lot of things. But in the case of doing things for our consciousness, in the case of working on ourselves, we don't have like spirit, we don't have like, yeah, I know I have to like meditate, yeah, I know I have to self-observe, yeah, I know I have to, but later, let me now see that, I don't know, Netflix series, for example, and that is another detail of your laziness. But that is something important, that we get to understand that every defect has 2 poles. The defect of the laziness have this lazy part of us that don't want to do anything, and the other part that wants to do a lot of things but not the things of the consciousness. When we get to work on ourselves, the 2 poles of the defect, when we get to eliminate them, every detail of the defect, we are going to find the middle. We are going to find the comprehension, the understanding, the virtue, the wisdom, and that is the virtue. That is, in case of the laziness, you are going to rescue the virtue of the diligence. In case of the greed, we all have greedy selves inside of us. We have the spendthrift, but we also have the hoarder. And if we get to eliminate both poles of that defect, self-observing and discover at every moment when this greed is manifesting within us, and in any situation, in any given situation, then you are going to start rescuing that true virtue that is charity. In the case of the lost, well, that is a real big defect in us. We have a lot of lust for people, for things. Yes, we have like fit that psychological defect a lot, and there we have to eliminate that positive pole. Let's say positive. That active is a better word. That active pole of our lust, that is the one that is all the time, for example, thinking in having sex, that is all the time looking for spilling the value and the precious sexual energy, and never achieve chastity for that reason. And we have the other pole, that is the one that doesn't want to have anything to do with sex, that actually feel like I don't need sex, I don't need to have a partner, I don't see why is important to work in or what sexuality have to do with the awakening of consciousness. And that is the other pole of the lost, the one that doesn't want to see that actually God is in our sex, because God is something creative, and inside us what is creative is our sexual energy. You can see that with your sexual energy you can give life to a child, and likewise with that sexual energy you can give life to the internal bodies that will allow you to have presence in the different dimensions of nature. So if you get to eliminate both poles of lust, the active and the passive one, you are going to rescue the virtue, the precious virtue that is chastity. And what is chastity? Chastity is to have the ability to have a control over your sexual organs, over your sexual apparatus, over your sexual energy, so you can go to a sexual practice with your partner and you never get to spill the sexual energy out of your body. You never reach orgasm or ejaculation. You always manage to channel this energy all the way through your spinal cord until reaching this point to enlighten yourself. So that is, for example, in the case of the lost, but here you can see a list. In case of the pride, if you work on your pride, if you get to eliminate all the details of your pride, who is also a big defect in us, you get to rescue the virtue of the humility. In the case of the anger, another big defect, and if you get to eliminate the active and the passive details of your own anger, you are going to rescue the real virtue, which is the kindness, which is like the patience. And in the case of the gluttony, you can rescue the virtue of the temperance, and in the case of the envy, you can rescue the virtue of the altruism. So this, you can see, is work to do, so we can start really rescuing those virtues that are currently trapped within each one of these psychological defects. And well, this is only a part of our soul. Soul is made up of many virtues, but our soul is also also have many powers, and you are going to develop these powers when you get to create your internal bodies, when you get to lit the to ignite the sacred fire in your spinal column. That is known as the sacred fire of the Kundalini or the Kundalini serpent. As the Kundalini rises in our spinal cord, when we practice the suprasexuality, we are going to be creating each one of these bodies, and we are going to be advancing in our inner initiations. And every time we finish an initiation, that means every time that we get to feel of energy, a whole spine. Every body of our 7 bodies have a spinal cord, and our spine have 33 vertebrae. That means that when you get to feel of fire, of sexual energy, your 33 vertebrae of the physical body, which is the first body that we get to regenerate with this energy, you finish your first initiation, and you actually have a solar physical body. And with this, you are going to receive the power to rule over the earth, to rule over the gnomes and the pygmies that are the elementals of the earth. When you get then to a field of energy, the 33 vertebrae of your vital body, that is the second body, then that give you the power to over the water. That is the power to rule over the Undines and Nereids. So that is another power. And you see, for example, some historical people who have power over water, and that is because they had regenerated their vital body. So you can see they actually could divide a sea, or that they was able to walk over the water, was because they have this body actually in a solar state. And if you get to finish your third initiation, internal initiation, which is the creation of the astral body, that is that you're going now to feel the 33 vertebrae of the astral body with your sexual energy, that will give you the power over the element fire, and over the salamanders of fire that are the elementals of fire. And also with this astral body, you can actually get to travel to any place or to any star. You are going to have the ability to enter the fifth dimension every time you want. I mean, every time you put your physical body to sleep or you enter into a state of meditation, if you already have a solar astral body, you will be able to move inside there, to go there and to move consciously in that fifth dimension of nature. And if you get to create your fourth body, which is the mental body, that is the fourth initiation, and that will give you first the access to that mental world, which is like the upper part of the fifth dimension. Is like the upper fifth dimension, and you can go there every time you need it, and you will have have the power over the air element, and you will have contact with the sylph and sylphids of the air that are the elementals of the air, and you are going to receive a lot of wisdom from those wise elementals. And well, when you get to create your solar causal body, then you are going to have the power to rule over nature. I mean, all nature. Because by creating these bodies, you have a control over your internal nature. And that gives you control over the external nature as well. That means that you already have created a physical body, so you have control over your own earth, which is your sexual center. I mean, you have already control over your sex, that is your internal earth. You have already created a vital body. That means that you already have power or dominion over your own water. That is your energy. That means that you already have a total chastity. You have control over your own energy, and you have created an astral body, and that means that you have control over your own fire. That your fire is your emotions. It's like spirit, and you have control over that internal fire, and you have also control over your own air. That is your mind. That is and you get that by creating the mental body. You have control over your thoughts. You have the ability to have this mental silence, and you already did all that work, and you now create the causal body, which is the body of the solar wheel. That means that you have control over your whole nature, and that give you the great power over the external nature. Now you can literally perform great miracles and wonders. I mean, at that point, you are a conscious being, and you are not going to be doing things just to show yourselves, to make demonstrations, but you are going to use those powers wisely for the benefit of humanity, because that is like the purpose of doing this. And by doing all that work, actually you are able to join the two superior bodies, which are the buddhic and the atmic bodies, that are going to give you like not only the ability to have dominion over your own nature, but also to create through the verb. So those are the things that you get by developing your soul. And well, we see the virtues, and we saw the virtues and the powers. Now let's see the faculties that you are going to receive by developing your soul, because your soul is also a set of faculties. And with the development of this, we will develop in each initiation a faculty. For example, with the first initiation, that is the creation of the physical body, we receive the faculty of the ability to communicate with the elementals. So we are going to be able to contact the elementals. With the second initiation, that is the regeneration of the vital body, you are going to have the faculty of remembering your past lives. Each one of them, you're going to have the ability to start remembering every one of your past lives. When you get to the third initiation, when you finish your third initiation, you are going to receive the faculty of the telepathy, which is the ability to communicate, like mentally, with others, even at great distances. And with the fourth initiation, which is the creation of the mental body, you will receive the faculty of the intuition, which is the ability to know the truth of all things, like to directly receive the wisdom from the Father. That is here in the pineal gland. You're going to receive your wisdom here in your heart. You're going to live by intuition. You're going to be wise when you get to create your mental body. And with the creation of the fifth body, which is the causal body, you're going to receive the faculty of the clairaudience. I have here clairvoyance. This is a mistake. It's the clairaudience. That is like the magic ear. And also the gift of tongues. And this developed through the white magic, which is what we are doing, is the ability to see and to listen to the music of the higher spheres, and to get to understand all the languages in this world and other planets. For example, Beethoven was an initiate of the White Lodge, and he actually had this magic ear, or the clairaudience. And when you get to unite, once you have already created all those 5 bodies, and you get to unite with your Buddhic body, that is giving you the faculty of the clairvoyance, that is the ability to see and perceive the things of the higher planes. I mean, you can actually, with the clairvoyance, positively, develop. You can actually get to see all the things that are going on in the different dimensions of nature at the same time. But actually, these faculties, it is good to know, it is good that you to know that you can also get to develop, I mean, you could develop these faculties with the black magic, and in those cases, you are going to be able to see the things of the inferior dimensions, of the infra dimensions. And you can see not like the internal truth of people, but the psychological defects of people. That is why we encourage people to awaken these powers through the work of the psychological death, the super sex, and the sacrifice for humanity, because from that way you are going to receive these faculties, but from your own being, from your consciousness. And actually, you are going, or these faculties are going to be handled by your consciousness, not by your psychological defects. And well, another faculty, and you are going to receive this faculty once you get to unite with this body, which is the atmic body, or the body of light, is the faculty of the polyvoyance, which is the ability that allow the master, because at that point you will be already a master, to perceive the universe, I mean the plants, the souls, the people, dimensions, and understand all the wisdom around him all at the same time. That faculty is related to the universal wisdom. Well, those are the sum of the faculties that you are going to receive by developing your soul. And in relation to the next point, which are the forces, actually, as the psychic development, of course, these forces start to integrating in your being, and you will be able to do things that neither a thousand men can do. And we will obtain like physical strength. We will obtain like also that strength in the verb when we speak, that we can like directly reach the consciousness of people. That is a force that you get to obtain when you develop your soul. But also willpower. Allow me just a second. Okay, also willpower. We see that we actually in these moments have a lot of willpower, but for the things of the ego. We have great strength, but this strength is constantly misused by our psychological defect, especially by the defect of anger that have all our force trapped and make us actually weak. Once you get to eliminate these defects, and once you get to develop your soul, you will be able to like unlock in yourself all these forces. And well, what is the important part? How is the soul fabricated? I think that is like the most important thing. And the soul, as you can see here, is fabricated by working on the three factors for the revolution of consciousness, which are the psychological death, the spiritual birth, and the sacrifice for humanity. And with the psychological death, that is self-observing at every time, discovering the different psychological defects that we have, and asking, once we get to understand that it is a defect manifesting in us, asking our Divine Mother to eliminate each of those details that you get to discover. That is a psychological death. And with this practice, we save energy, we balance the centers, and we get to liberate the essence that is trapped in each one of our defects. So that is actually the first factor for the consciousness revolution, and is like the basis of this work. And the second factor, the spiritual birth, is the wise use of our sexual creative energy. That is, as I was explaining, going to the sexual practice and never spilling our sexual energy, never reaching orgasm and ejaculation. And I mean, not even in the sexual practice. I mean, it's like getting the comprehension of the importance of the value of the power that our sexual energy actually has, and making a wise use of this energy to start creating these bodies that are the existential bodies of the being in that sexual union between you and your couple, between a man and a woman. And the third factor is the sacrifice for humanity. That is to unselfishly share this knowledge with mankind. And with this third work that we have to do all the time, we are going to obtain the merits of the heart that will allow us to advance like more quickly in this work, to advance faster in the death of our psychological defects, and advance faster in the creation of our internal bodies, since someone who helps others to awaken, to help, who help others to also do this work, will advance like 10 times faster than one that is selfish. I mean, that doesn't put or develop enough love to make or to take part of his time to try to help others. And well, these are the three factors that will help us to get out of the mechanics of the world and to get to revolutionize our consciousness so that we can get to develop our soul. And what are going to be the steps to fabricate the human soul? So you have like this clear. Well, the first step is to receive the objective knowledge. And with this, a part of a phrase that Jesus used to say, that is, out of 1,000 who are seeking me, only one finds me, like makes sense. We see that in the world there are many people who are looking like for something spiritual, they have like spiritual longing. And actually you can get to observe that only few people manage to find the knowledge of the three factors focused into practice, to start like their own internal path to the awakening of their consciousness. Many people get like tangled in that web of so many concepts and so many theories that exist, and they never get to recognize the knowledge that can actually lead them to advance spiritually. And you may ask, why is this? And actually, most of the time, this is because of karma. Because all of us have the right to receive this knowledge in one or many of our existences. But many people have received this knowledge in the previous existences, but they have abandoned it, or others have betrayed their Divine Mother, others have committed serious crimes against the Holy Spirit, others are just seekers, but they don't even know what they are looking for, and they all have like lost the right to receive the knowledge for several existences. So actually, when you get to receive the objective knowledge, you have the first, and it's a very important one, step to start fabricating your human soul. The second step is start practicing the three factors. These three factors that I just explained. Start eliminating, self-observing, and eliminating all the details of the defects of the ego that live inside you. That is the first one. The second is start with the sexual work, so you get to create that internal bodies. And the third factor is the sacrifice for humanity. Start making whatever the effort you want to start with, so you get to reach or make people reach this knowledge, that they have the opportunity to give this first step, which is to receive the objective knowledge. So the second step is to start practicing the three factors. The third step is to start balancing the energy centers. In the lecture number 4 of this course, we're talking about the energy centers and how to balance them. Having a right thinking, a right talking, a right feeling, and a right acting or action. So when you start like practicing psychological death, saving energy during the day, you start that work of the you start balancing your energy centers. And when you start doing this work, when you start practicing and you start like having results in yourself, that second part of that phrase that I was explaining enters when it says, out of 1,000 that find me, only one follows me. Because yes, an amount of people get to receive this knowledge, but most of them take this knowledge just as another theory, just as something intellectual, but they don't get to really put this knowledge into practice in their own lives. So they never get to really start practicing the three factors, and they never get to start balancing the energy centers. So they never get to the next step or to the next steps that are starting the creation of the internal bodies. And why is this? Why most of the people like stop there, receive this knowledge, but never start practicing and never balance the energy centers? And this is because inside us there is like this bad will. You see, you want to really start doing it, but like in a strange force doesn't let you start the work, and you feel just like satisfied by just listening like to these topics during a period of time. You try to do something, but that eye of laziness, that sloth inside you, and also your personality, you will make you return to your old habits and never start this work. But if you make an extra effort and if you start helping others, that will give you a force that will impulse you to truly start this work, so you can get to really start to create inside yourself, because the creation have a lot, as you just see, to do with the development of your soul. And the fourth step will be to have a stable partner. If you come to this knowledge and you already have a partner, perfect. If you already have a couple to practice sex with, perfect. And you just have to teach your couple about the supersexuality, about that super sex work that you want to do, so that person also, I don't know, get interest in this work. or like accept to collaborate with the work you want to do. But if you don't have a partner to do this work, this sexual work yet, you can start asking in the astral plane to your inner being to show you who is the person that can really help you to do this work. And once you have a stable partner and you start practicing the suprasexuality with that partner and you start eliminating the eyes fornication that are part of the lust that always wants to reach orgasm and ejaculation, always wants to spill the available sexual energy, that doesn't want to stop feeling that pleasure. And if you start working on that, eliminating those defects, because you get to understand that they are only leading you to lose the power that resides inside you, but you start there asking your divine mother to eliminate every single detail of fornication inside yourself, and you start during the day making the work of the ongoing death, eliminating all those psychological defects that wants to steal your energy. You are going to start balancing the centers, and you are going to experience the rise of the waters, that is like the fifth step. And the rise of the water is when you start making your internal waters, which is your sexual energy, ascend through the spinal cord. When we go through this point in our inner work, that is in our inner world, that is in the astral plane, we get to see like water that instead of going down is going up. You can, for example, see a river that is coming from a mountain, for example, and instead of coming down, you're going to start seeing that the river is going the way, the opposite way. I mean, like upwards. Or your inner being can show you this in any other way. The thing is that you get to see that the water, instead of coming down, it's going up. And that is going to let you understand that you are actually rising your internal waters. And when you keep working in the balance of the energy centers, you are also going to experience astrally how the waters start changing colors. At the beginning, your internal waters, that is your energy, are black, are polluted, smelly waters, and you are going to experience, as you work and balancing your energy centers, you are going to experience how these waters turn white, that is like crystal clear waters, then turn into yellow waters, and they turn into red waters. At that point, when in the astral plane you get to see your internal waters, I mean the sea or a pool, whatever, you are going to see these waters color red. That means that you already get to ignite the sexual fire, which is the fire of the Kundalini. And at that point, you are going to pass to the sixth step, and that is that you are going to receive in your inner world a small silver sword. And you're going to receive that when you manage to, when you get to have some level, a good level of chastity. And to achieve this, it is necessary, to comprehend the defect of the fornication, so we stop spilling our sexual energy, so we can ignite our sexual fire and receive in our inner world that really small silver sword, which is most of the time of white hilt and like this long, more or less. And that will be the sign that you are already an initiate of the White Lodge, that you have already began the work of ascending the fire vertebra by vertebra through the spine and start creating, well, first regenerating the physical body and later regenerating the vital and later creating the astral. That is like the sign of the beginning of this work. So the sixth step is like very important because at that point you are already an initiate. You need to know that once you are there, you need to continue working on your lust. You need to continue working on the fornication because at that point, yeah, you have a level of chastity. Yes, you have that power of not having sexual faults, but you need to keep working because if you like lose the work, if you already like feel, yeah, I'm already there, and you stop working, you can like get to have a sexual fault. And the problem with having sexual faults is that with each fornication, that makes you descend 2 vertebrae in your work. Let's say that you are practicing the suprasex, and every time you practice, you get to, I don't know, let's say that in a month of practices of suprasex, you get to feel of energy 2 vertebrae. In only one fornication, I mean in only one sexual fall, you can get to lose these 2 vertebrae. So for that reason, it is very important that we work hard and every day against our lust so we can actually receive that virtue of the chastity, receive that power over our sexual energy so we never ever get to spill our sexual energy again. And the 7th step, once we have already lit the sacred fire, once we have already started with the regeneration of the physical body, and that when we finish this work, we have already our first initiation. Then we get to regenerate our vital body, create the astral body, create the mental body, and create the causal body. We will have already completed the 7th step, which is the complete the 5 initiation of major mysteries. In that case, when you get to create these 5 bodies, you already have fabricated a human soul. You are already a real man. At that point, you get to be a real man. It doesn't matter if you're a man and a woman, it's the same. It's a real man because before you were only a rational animal. We, in this current state in which we find ourselves, we are just rational animals because we don't have that internal composition. We don't have those bodies, those virtues, those faculties, those forces that make us real men. But at that point, when you get to create your solar causal body, you are already a man. You are already have a real human soul. The 8th step will be to choose the direct path. Because in the 5th initiation, when you are creating the causal body, you are going to find yourself between the decision of the paths. One is the path of the nirvana and one is the direct path. And at this point, it is said that out of 1,000 that follow me, only one is mine. That is because out of 100 persons that make this work and get to that point, when they are there in the decision of the path, 999 persons choose the nirvana's path. And that way they are betraying their inner Christ, because our inner Christ, which is a force inside us, which is the fire of the fire inside us, can only be born in us if we choose the direct path, which is that hard path that we need to take in order to unite ourselves with our divine soul. Here we have already created a human soul, but we need to choose the direct path so we get to unite with our divine soul, and the perfect matrimony, which is the ninth and the last path, can be given. Out of that perfect matrimony, or out of that union of the human with the divine, is from where the fire of the fire, which is the Christ, will be born in us. And well, that is all about the creation of the human soul. Actually, when the creation of those 5 solar bodies is done, that work is called the first mountain, or the first rising of the fire through the spinal cord from the coccyx to the pineal gland. It is also called the fabrication of the human soul, or Genesis. That is the work of the Genesis, the creation in 7 days. And the first mountain could take approximately 13 years in be done. All this work of the creation of the bodies can be done in around 13 years, depending on the level of work of the person. And the let's say the great thing about this is that it is not something that you are going to suppose that you are doing. It is not something that you are going to see sometime you're going to experience the reality of this. Actually, this is a work that you start doing and that you can be verifying all the time in your internal world. That means that in the astral plane, you can get to corroborate the advances that you are doing in this work. And with every initiation completed, the sword that at the beginning was something very little is going to be growing. So when you go to the astral plane and you look at the growth of your sword, you can follow up on the progress of the work that you are doing. The length of the sword will be like the measure of the fire in our column. I mean, if you see the 7 bodies in one full column, spine, as you can see here, you are going to see in the astral the sword growing as long as you go completing each initiation. With the first initiation, it's going to grow like this, with the second like this, with the third like this, and when you get to create a mental body, you will already have the sword, long like this, a silver sword, and with the causal body it will be longer, etc. And well, something important that you know is that each initiation starts and finishes between the 2 centers, like this. So you can have that into account when you are at that point reviewing the fire on your spine in the astral plane. Now, that is the fabrication of the soul. That is the work that you have to do to get to fabricate your soul. Now, what is the work to fabricate your spirit? Once we possess, a human soul, and once we already take the direct path, because the ones that took the nirvana path are going to, stagnate at that point. They never get to reach the development of their spirit, only of their soul. But if you take the direct path, if you take the path of the Christ, in that point, when you get to the fabrication of your human soul, Then you get to the union with your divine soul, and from there you reach that perfect matrimony. The third triad will be formed in you. As I was saying, from that union of the divine and of the human, the intimate Christ, which is a force in that is latent into each one of us, is going to be born. And that second triad will be formed inside us, which is Atman, Buddhi, and Manas. Atman is our human soul. Manas, is our human soul. Buddhi is our divine soul, and Atman is our intimate, is our inner being, is our Father. And this triad is called the Spirit. Atman is also related to our inner Christ. And at that point, we will have completed our first mountain, and we have already we have put the first steps to start with the development or with the fabrication of our spirit. The first mountain is the mountain of Genesis, or the creation of our human soul. And at that point, we will be finishing our first mountain, and we are starting the work of the second mountain. In that work, which is the mountain of the apocalypse, or the end by fire, because in that mountain, our inner Christ is going to make the work of destroying all of our lower nature. Is going to finish with the elimination of all of our ego through fire. And the initiate, who is at that point, who has chosen the direct path, is actually given 1,000 years with the same physical body to finish that work. Anyways, the work of the second mountain can be completed in around 20 years by working, diligently. And the development of the spirit will occur during the ascent of the second mountain. In the second mountain, the 7 churches and the 7 consciousness, or the 7 wisdom of our being, are going to be developed. And in later lectures, we will be deepening in the work of the second mountain. So you get to know more in depth all these of the mountains of the initiation. And this has been today's lecture. And I hope it is clear for you what is the work to create your soul, to fabricate your soul, and to fabricate your spirit. But if you see this video and you have any question or you didn't understand any of these points, you can leave your answer there in the chat, and I will gladly be solving any question that you have. Or you can contact me in the Facebook Messenger and ask me any question that you have, and I will gladly answering any question that you have. So thank you very much for watching the video, and see you in the next Phase A lecture that we are going to be seeing next Wednesday at the same time. So thank you very much, and see you next time. Ciao, ciao.